Good morning, team. How is everybody this morning? Thank you for coming. And how many of you went to the conference? Did anybody here go to the conference? Oh, maybe you'll tell us about it in a minute. It's not on the agenda, but I can wing it since I'm the chair. It's okay. Anyway, I believe that we actually have a quorum, but I don't believe that we really have anything great to vote on, but we're happy everybody's here. If anybody is sitting way back there in those chairs all by yourself, feel free to come up to the table at least if you'd like to. Please. Balance the room because it might tip this way. Thank you. So how about if we just have some introductions, and I know I see some new faces or faces we haven't seen in a while in the room. And so I'm Maile Gray. I'm the chair of the Mobility Coordinating Committee, and also I'm the executive director of Drive Smart Colorado. And why don't we begin? How about take it away? And you have to talk, you have to push the little red button.
I'm Lena Gladden. I'm the operations manager for Special Kids, Special Families.
All right, I'm Shakak Youssef, and I'm also from Special Kids, Special Families.
John Carroll, Special Kids, Special Families.
Wow.
Sorry.
Where's Linda?
Victoria Salser, Silver Key.
Somebody's got to be running the place, yeah.
Terry Cassidy with Health Promotion Partners and the Fitness to Drive program.
Gail Nels, Invita, non-voting member.
Phil Van Horn, Invita.
Joe Vaccaro, Community at Large.
Good morning. Dick Hyde with Community Intersections.
Sorry. I'm Kristen Amundsen with Goodwill, filling in for Andrew. So thanks.
Thank you, everybody, for coming this morning. Can we, maybe we are voting on approving the agenda. Anybody voting to approve the agenda?
Do you need a motion?
I don't know. Do I need a motion?
Motion to approve agenda?
Second.
The agenda is approved. Thank you, everybody. This is an awesome time for public comments. That would be items that are not on the agenda. Does anybody have anything to share? Gail does.
Yeah, I was curious, was it last month that you had the 2045 plan being presented? And I think they're open for public comment at this point, and it closes in, I think, 2 weeks. Well, yes, go ahead. I don't know.
Anyway, go ahead.
No, I'm just kind of curious where the committee was on the 2045 plan, and if they saw the goals of the committee reflected in the plan.
Has anybody else been attending other than me? So no, right? Okay, so it's an interesting process, and I think if anybody does have any comments, that you should absolutely look it up. I mean, I believe it's online. You can find it, and definitely make some comments. I think that there was some frustration being expressed at the lack of time. I mean, it's called the 2045 plan and then / specialized transportation, right, that we are supposed to be discussing. And I think that at the last one, which was the second, and I believe that there's one more in November, but I just would have to go back and look at my notes. I think at the second one, there was some real concern voiced about how we did not have very much representation necessarily from specialized transportation, nor did we spend a lot of time really talking about specialized transportation, and I'm hoping that they heard that loud and clear. And I know that I brought up now they've reached out to me to try and find some individuals, which I think is really a great idea. They want to interview some individuals who use public transportation all the time, a lot, or use adaptive driving, or use our transportation through some of our agencies. They would like to interview them and find out how that process goes. And so I'm trying to help them actually line up some. And if any of you, I know that I've spoken with Phil, and Terry too, if any of you have any ideas on an individual that you think might be very willing to just be interviewed, I think this is a great opportunity for them to talk one-on-one about their experiences. So I would, if any of you have somebody in mind that you believe has even used the bus on a regular basis, and you happen to know who they are and would be willing to be interviewed, I'd like to know that person and get them hooked up right away. So, anyway, it was a little. Anyway, at the end of it, there was some discontent leaving the last meeting. Gail, do you have a comment on that?
Right. So Jason DeBueno with Silver Key and Jolene Houseman with Fountain Valley and I met with the consultants putting together the plan last week. Yeah, Chris and Dennis was on the phone. And I was a little surprised, and frankly, looking at the number of people around the room here that represent intellectual and developmental disabilities, I didn't think there was enough emphasis in the slides that I saw. And so I encouraged them to be more comprehensive and inclusive in the report. I understand that they are writing the specialized transit report currently, whereas they had already kind of completed or rough drafted the fixed route transit point. Jolene Houseman with Fountain Valley was concerned about the differentiation and distinction between the ADA paratransit versus specialized transit. And in some of the specialized plan, they conflated the two terms, and so we're trying to make those more distinct, because we felt that the specialized transportation was not represented fully.
Right, that sounds right. I'm grateful that you all got together with them, and maybe they were not that sure about what the difference was, the consultants. Is that kind of what you, anyway? Okay. Okay. So I'm hopeful that there will be more coming forward. But again, I'd like to emphasize that if any of you know somebody who utilizes public transportation, specialized transportation in any sort, and you feel that this person, you've known them enough and you could reach out to them to say, would you like to be interviewed for this process? I'd really like to know that name, because I know that they're anxious to do these interviews. Phil gave me one. Terry, I don't know if you've had any progress with your person, but I'd sure like to get a couple names at least, but I'd like more if possible.
One other thing, I just wanted to make sure that everyone around the table understood the importance of this plan, because it is the basis for when the state and others want to access federal and state funds. They reference if the project has been identified in the 2045 plan, and that's its significance. And it is a requirement of the federal government.
So please take it upon yourself to look it up, review it. The slides are online, and see if you have any comments. And please get actively involved. It's important for this committee. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, any other public comments? I see we have a Diana. Hello. Would you like to introduce yourself? Oh, wait, you come on up to the table and use a microphone. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, and hey, you, why are you sitting back there? We have our new world leader back there. Come on. Come up here. And you have to introduce yourself, too. You just can't sneak in and sit in the back row. That's no excuse. You make sure that he signs in, please. You're not on the agenda, so I think this is a perfect time for you to make a public comment.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Jody Parker, and I am the new AAA director here at PPACG. So very honored to be in this new role. For those of you who don't know me, I've been in senior services now in Colorado Springs for almost 22 years. And so health care and home care. I was privileged to be the director at the Senior Center for a few years here in Colorado Springs, and have worked with quite a few of the people at the table in my past lives. And so it's an honor to be here, and thank you, Maile. I appreciate it, and sorry we couldn't catch up last week. That's one thing Joe promised me, is you will go to a lot of meetings, and boy, ain't that the truth. So anyway, it's just a pleasure to be here to continue serving our seniors through our community. Tomorrow makes a month. So yeah, so very, very early, and but I'm getting my feet wet in all sorts of areas, and so please don't hesitate to stop by my office, or give me a call, or send me an email if you want to meet or talk. Just happy to be here, so thank you very much.
Thank you. That was a great public comment. And Diana, would you like to officially introduce yourself?
Diana VANOC, Teller Senior Coalition. Sorry I'm late. We have network problems.
No worries. And now we have Andy, who joined the room. Do you want to just wave? Do these people, everybody knows who Andy is? Okay. Great. Okay, Andy, you're welcome to come sit at this table, too, if you'd like to. You're not. You're not incognito. Okay. One more public comment that's not on the agenda. Victoria, if you can just give a tiny little brief update on what the conference.
So I have to be honest, the sessions that I attended were for leadership and the transit world. So Gail, do you have anything from the conference that you took away?
We were working on contracts at the conference.
Okay. Well, was it well attended?
Yes, I thought they had there's some people there from FTA Region 8, as well as someone from National. There was the executive director of the Community Transportation Association of America, Scott Brogren, giving us an overview of what was happening in around the country in transit, broader perspective. There was, again, the leadership class. It was well attended, and there was a great emphasis on electric vehicles and what that could look like, and
electric vehicles.
Yes.
Okay. Not autonomous, but electric.
Electric.
Huh. Okay.
That's a big push around the country and the state. And I do believe here in Colorado, the Department of Energy is also working with CDOT around the building the infrastructure for more electric vehicles.
Yeah, I've heard some stuff on the radio about that. So, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Anything else? Public comment. Oh, now, John?
Yeah, just a brief comment. John Carroll, Special Kids, Special Families. Most of you probably know we have a small fleet of vehicles that we primarily use to transport our own clients, children and adults with disabilities. But we're presently working through the details of a grant that would allow us to offer rides to seniors with or without disabilities. And we've been in talks with Silver Key, trying to figure out how we can, make this work. And so just throwing it out there, if anybody has, I understand there's a great need, a backlog of people needing rides. So we would love some input on how we might be able to implement that and become a little more involved with helping our senior population get around the community. Thank you.
Yeah, carry
So
forth.
how much is it?
The grant?
Well, yeah, what's your, if you're offering up working with us, what would be the capacity of that grant?
It's, as far as I understand, and I'm just still learning the details of it. And I don't know, Victoria, you were at the meeting and might even know a little more. It's just, it's a certain number of rides
Over what period of time?
between, up until this coming next June? June 30th. Yeah. It's, I believe it went into, or we learned about it in July, but we're still kind of getting the details together and figuring out how to put this together and make it work. So, June 30th. More information to come.
Okay.
Maybe next meeting we present, so I should have more details by then.
Thank you.
Just a tease.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Joe Vaccaro. I have a comment on that. Your biggest obstacle is going to get other agencies to wish to mix populations. We've been trying this for the last 20 years, actually, and there's been a lot of resistance. Actually, initially, there was a lot of resistance from Silver Key. That's when Mickey Krashauer was in charge there. She was adamantly against anyone mixing seniors with anybody with disabilities, even though populations are basically oftentimes the same. So trying to get agencies to let loose of their territorial approach to things, and which is also related to their funding, is going to be probably the greatest difficulty I've seen in the past, and it continues now. Everyone's got their own territory, and they're not willing to break down the walls. Something's got to change, not only in that, but in public transportation, which is still regarded as the stepchild to roads. We cannot build our way out of congestion. That's been proven over and over again. You just have to go out on the streets to see that. And it's costing us gazillions of dollars, where if we improved public transportation to where it was efficient and convenient, which is the key note for public transportation, we would be much better off in the way we're spending money and in what the future is going to bring for the entire community and the country. That's my opinion.
All good opinions. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so we're going to move on. As you know, we've been talking about updating the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments Area Agency on Aging Mobility Guide, the Pocket Guide, also that will be on the website, the Area Agency on Aging website, because there's a lot of value in people being able to get a lot of this information at the touch of, their computer or in their purse or keep on the counter. So we've been updating some phone numbers and new services, including from Goodwill. And Victoria's been working her artistic prowess on this, and so she's kind of has a little dummy draft for us. And what do you have to say?
Yeah, so thank you for collecting all the information for me. It's in the same format, but it does actually fold now into a pocket size, so that's good. And the font is a little bit bigger because I know that is something that we had mentioned before. So I'll go ahead and pass these around. These ones aren't folded. I did have a question regarding where it was exactly located on the website. It wasn't. Okay.
It wasn't.
So,
but I would really like it to be, because then we can update information even more accurately in real time as opposed to waiting for another printing.
correct. And so the web address on the backside for additional information will probably need to be updated depending upon where it's actually located. So.
Yeah, and if anybody, Jody or Andy, has any comments on that, I think we were thinking about having it under the Area Agency on Aging. And then if we want to even drill it down more to the Mobility Coordinating Committee, but I almost think it may be both places. So I'm going to let you all.
Yeah.
Now Andy comes up to the table.
There.
Oh.
Yeah, there is of course, if you go to the ppacg.org site, there is a specific area for aging, and then that breaks out. So that would be the most I would think one of the steps, and we can check with our web folks to see if we can cross-reference that, maybe through a transportation link as well, so that whether someone is looking for senior services or if they're looking for transportation, either way they can get to it. So we can find out the particulars in that. I don't think there would be a reason not to.
Yeah, this is a great product.
Oh,
Thank you,
excuse me, I guess you're not talking to the microphone.
Runs a tight ship. Thank you for putting this together. This is a really great product, and I think it's been a number of years now since we've actually done an update and gotten this out, so this is long overdue, so thank you very much. And I think we get it out as far and as wide as we possibly can. You know, reference it in a couple of different locations on our website, but do social media, all the connections that you all have. So, yeah.
We can all put it on, I can link it on my older driver page or in Drive Smart Colorado in general.
Yeah, super. This is good stuff. I know the Denver region, they've been active putting information like this out as well through their Dr. Mac website. I forget what that stands for, but yeah, this is super. So let's blast it out as far as we can.
Which brings me up another comment. You know, before you took over, Joe kind of allocated some money for printing.
I can check into that.
Okay, good answer. Because nobody could sort of find Angel Bond's records on the original artwork or where it got printed or anything. And so wherever you all do most of your printing, I guess, is where it would go. And so I don't know any of that.
Yeah, we've sent most of our stuff to the city to get printed.
Oh, yeah, right, the city. Oh, we're in.
We'll figure out a way to reproduce it at the volume we think we need and to get it out there, but also
Fantastic.
be able to keep it fresh, so if we have to make updates, we'll make some updates.
Exactly.
There's a lot of talk about coordination of specialized transportation service. We'll talk more about that with this group here in the next couple of months.
So, which brings a thought, because I'm also connected with the city, and I'll just ask them what they did last time.
Sure.
Well, have we been printing with the city that long? I'm not sure, this was put out when I was still
many
director
years
at the
ago.
senior center. We received them by the case and distributed them by the case. At that time, I don't know that PPACG was actually printing through the city.
Okay.
That's the concern there. Joe had highlighted this for me and handed off his copy to me, but I'm very familiar with it because we would hand these, like I said, by the case, by the dozens.
Yes, and so I have no idea how many we should have printed.
So I would.
Input.
I'm going to dig around on the files here.
Thank you.
He had made mention that it might be internal here somewhere. So I'll do some digging and see what we can find out.
Or who did
and who-
PPACG print with before?
Yeah, we'll find out.
So
The
big question.
New guy also been here a little longer than Jody, a year and a half, but we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
great.
But now with the contract, the city print shop is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I've used them for more than 20 years in all my other work, so they're fantastic to work with. So whatever format you have, I'm sure they'll be able to construct that for you.
Yeah. I work really closely with them, too, so fantastic. Then it'll get done. I'm really excited. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're a little graphic
Oh,
designer.
I don't know about that. But if you guys have any updates, if you want to see it larger or just any comments or opinions about it, just let me know.
Very good. And you still have the one ride? Then that's good?
Yes.
Okay. It's all good. It's all good. All right. Great. Great. Yeah, and I love the fact you got it folded extra. That was you're very talented. So if anybody does have a comment, or I really messed up their information here, or, got a wrong phone number, but I really tried, this is the time. I'm pretty sure it wasn't my fault. Well, okay, it might have absolutely been my fault. But, no, thank you so much. And so let's get all of those. Please look this over, make sure everybody's information is as accurate as can be right now. And then that's going to be the beauty of the website, because I think on here, if we didn't, all information and prices and routes are subject to change, so they can go to the website and see up-to-date information, or if somebody adds or takes away a product, we can put it on the website as opposed, so it says so. So,
Right.
really appreciate that.
Yeah, you'll just want to develop a channel for who receives those corrections, who updates the original file, and then who submits that to our website folks. So we'll create that channel so it's nice and clean.
That sounds wonderful. Perfect.
Are there any additional copies around? Did you give out what you had?
I only brought 10,
Okay.
so I apologize.
Okay. All right.
Can you email it?
Yes, I can.
Okay, that would be awesome. Email it to Jessica, and then she can send it out to everybody. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate your work on that. Thank you so much. I'm excited that this is going to get done. Yay. Okay. Oh, look. Ha. We're up. Hi, everybody. I'm Maile Gray, the chair of the Mobility Coordinating Committee, but what I do in my other job is I'm the director of Drive Smart Colorado. And most of you have heard from me well enough to know that we do traffic safety education for all ages. And that is why we actually got involved in this committee to begin with, because we want people, Drive Smart's goal is to keep the roads as safe as possible for every person on the roads. And that means, from teenagers, once they get their license, from bicycle riders, pedestrians, all the way up through the aging road user. And they don't really like to be called aging road users. So if you all have any comments, I'd love to hear them, because they don't like to be called aging, senior, older, mature. They don't like any of those terms. So give us help if you have any ideas of a correct term that most of this older population would like to be called. Anyway, so we worked. In fact, I'm introducing Terry Cassidy, who perhaps has not been able to attend as many meetings as she would like to, because she's a little entrepreneur and is working hard at establishing her own business, which I'll let her talk about in just a minute. But this whole older driver scenario was really introduced to me through Terry, through this program called CarFit, which is a program based on, kind of loosely, but somewhat based on a program that was developed 25 plus years ago for child passenger safety, meaning educating parents and caregivers on proper installation of car seats, because it was in the mid-95 percentile of misuse for child safety seats, even from, it knows no boundaries. It knows no demographic, no economic boundaries. People don't know how to use car seats properly to save their children's lives. So we've been involved in that for a very, very long time. My number in the world is 372, and they are now training 700,000. So don't do the math so you know how long I've been doing this. But anyway, a very long time. So CarFit was actually based on that, developing a program to educate a driver, and really it was geared toward the older driver, but it doesn't have to be for older driver, any age driver, how to fit their car properly to them so that they can drive as safely as they can for as long as they can before they transition into one of your fine organizations' modes of transportation. So that's our entire goal. So CarFit teaches things like why the steering wheel should not be aimed toward your face, like my husband really likes to drive. He just doesn't quite get the fact that that airbag is going to be deployed to your face, and where you want it to be is tilted down toward your chest. Now, you all are going to be thinking, how is my steering wheel in my car? And that's true, and that's what I mean. This is not just for the aging, older, well, we're all aging, right? But, it's not for that senior driver. This is for everybody. Why headrests need to be this close to the back of your head, as opposed to some people don't like that, so they take them off and put them on backwards. That doesn't help you in a rear-end collision, because you're going to get a severe whiplash. So it's up to us, who are trained technicians, to explain these in detail so that the driver really gets why they shouldn't do that. Because these days you go buy a new car, and it's all about Bluetooth and little side beeping lights on your side view mirrors and heated seats and lumbar support and all this. Where what we talk about are the basics of safety that everybody should know every time you get in your car. Readjust your mirrors to your side view mirrors to get rid of blind spots. And you can. And we teach you how to do it. We even work with police officers who have been driving, that's what they do for a living, is put miles and miles and miles on the car. And we remind them that you don't do it like your dad explained to you back when you were young, which is so that you see just barely the side of your car. Because the joke is, I know where my car is. I'm sitting in my car. What you want to see are all the cars coming up beside you. And it's very easy by readjusting your side view mirrors. So these are things, and almost everybody, that's a serious aha moment for them. So these are small tweaks to people's cars so that they can maneuver their neck. They're not getting, we get stiff necks as we age sometimes. And it gets difficult, and so maybe people don't quite check their blind spots like they should, and then they try and move into the next lane or turn left, and they get in a could be devastating crash, because as we age, we get more frail, and we don't heal from crashes and from severe things the way that we used to. So all of this is really easy in 20 minutes, depending on how much we like to chat, so sometimes it takes longer if you have me. But it's a great program. I learned it from Terry, and since then, we've gone on to teach many, many other people to be car fit technicians so that they can do it. We've gone down to the Fountain Valley Senior Center and up into Teller County, and we've done it at the Garden Inn. That's where we were. Garden Plaza. I can't remember, like the Hilton Garden Inn. That's not right. I mean, we will go anywhere and work with their residents or their customers, their clients. We'll go anywhere and do it. It's all for free. So it's a great program, and since then, Terry and I have really kind of been working together a lot, and she'll explain exactly why. I'm going to turn it over to her. Also, we do publish that guide for aging drivers and their families, and we have about 3 boxes left. So we are in the process of looking it over and making sure that we have updated information in there. This is a statewide guide, so it's not only for our local Pikes Peak region. That's where this will be very handy to hand out together. That's what we will do. We will hand out our mobility guide to our local citizens so that it all gets connected. But it is a statewide guide, and we're about to completely update it with make sure everything's correct or get new information in there. So look, that's when we'll bring you new boxes, okay? So anyway, without any further ado, I am going to turn it over to Terry Cassidy, a good friend, a neighbor, by the way, in Manitou. And she can explain exactly what she does and what we do. Thank you, Terry.
Cool. You're leaving.
I'm leaving. I'm sitting right here, but I'm not far.
Okay.
I have a little button right here.
Thanks. So, let's see. Just to follow up on what Maile was talking about with CarFit, so that it is a grant-funded program, volunteer program. I know I've talked to some of you in transit agencies in the past. I think it would be fantastic to do an event for the drivers at your agency. We could come to your site and put on an event there just for awareness and safety in general. So just a little plug there. Also at my location, so I have a private practice called Health Promotion Partners, really focused on driving and driving safety. And we offer free CarFit checkups. So if there's not a big event, but you know of somebody in the community who would be interested in coming, we can just do a one-on-one CarFit checkup. So get in touch with us for that. It's on our website. And my other piece, so I do have grant funding through the Colorado Department of Transportation. CarFit is a piece of that, although Maile is certainly the guru for CarFit events. A lot of what I do is education, mostly with healthcare professionals around driver safety. And it's been really interesting working with Maile and more in this public health, public safety piece of things that there's not much overlap with healthcare. And when we're talking about older drivers is generally through this grant we're often talking about people who've had medical health changes, are having age-related changes that affect their health, maybe some cognitive changes. So a lot of my goal is education to, I'm an occupational therapist, education to other people who are working in the rehab facilities, so OTs, PTs, speech therapists, to help identify, well, maybe you should talk to your doctor. You've had a stroke. Technically, it's a self-report state. There's a whole bunch of things we could talk about with that. But just really trying to have more eyes on people who are looking to get back to driving, so helping make decisions about driving. So my general recommendation is, have you talked to your doctor about that? Most doctors are not going to be the one to bring it up, although we're trying to shift that needle a little bit too. And then the other piece of what I do as direct patient care is driver evaluation and training. So I work with individuals of all ages. We do evaluations after someone's had a medical event or there's just some concern. So it could be that the doctor has concern, the family. I had a 93-year-old gentleman call recently and say, I heard about your program and I just feel like I should come and make sure I'm still safe. I feel pretty good, but I just want to make sure. So anybody can come see us. We do our comprehensive driving evaluation. So it's a 3-hour session. We spend about an hour and a half of that in the clinic. So we're looking at skills related to driving, vision, strength, reaction time, range of motion, memory, cognition. So evidence-based testing there, and then go out in our evaluation vehicle and see if there's any recommendations we can make, suggestions. A lot of times we're talking to people about where they drive, do they drive at night, are there ways that they can continue driving but maybe change some of their behaviors to stay safe. One other piece of that is adaptive equipment. So we do work with individuals with physical disabilities or some reason that they're not able to access gas and brake in their vehicle the way we would. So we do hand control training. We have a left foot accelerator, spinner knob, so various things to help people get back to driving if that's their goal in terms of transportation. So a lot of variety out there. A lot of people don't know it exists, so I appreciate you guys listening, and feel free to contact me with questions or ask right now, of course.
Yeah, thank you, Terry, because I'm not sure if many of you were aware, but Terry and I were on KOAA last week regarding an Older and Wiser campaign in Colorado Health Promotions, and I really appreciate what you're doing and helping with our community. But I think the Older and Wiser campaign is also funded by CDOT.
It is.
And helping people determine when is the right time to give up your keys. I think we've had some comments, positive and negative, on our phone lines, but thank you, Terry.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing up the Older and Wiser, which is really a media campaign, I think started on the Western Slope, so I'm so glad to see that it's over here as well. Just really trying to plant some of those seeds of there are other ways to get around besides being the driver. And I think that's something I'm trying to promote a lot in my practice too, is you can still be in control of your transportation without being the person doing the driving, and that's where a lot of your organizations fit into that as well.
What Terry's not telling you, she's highly educated. She has whatever the occupational therapy doctorate level is. What are you called?
Doctorate.
Oh, she's a doctor. She's also a certified driver rehab specialist. She's also the only one in all of southern Colorado. Okay, so Penrose used to work at Penrose Ventura, and they got rid of that program. And so Terry felt that, I know I'm putting words in her mouth, but she forgot to say this, so I'm saying it. She felt that this was such an important topic and program that she created her own and has a part-time other occupational therapist as well. And this is something we all will deal with, whether it's in our personal life or our neighbor, we know somebody, we will all deal with somebody in our life who maybe should reach the end of their driving career. But you don't want to just say, you can't drive anymore, I'm taking this. I mean, it's really important to know what options are out there, which is why I think it's great for you all, us all, to know what Terry does, because this is a really valuable tool. I mean, you all are dealing with a lot of people, Silver Key, whatever, who's, they're kind of on the edge, and maybe knowing where to send somebody I mean, all of southern Colorado people, I'm not just saying Colorado Springs, okay? She's it. And there's not a lot in the state. So doctors have no clue what to do in this situation. They don't want to be the bad guy. They're not going to be the one telling you. And they never see the people drive, and they don't want to disturb that valuable patient-doctor relationship. But, I went in for a physical, and they asked me, which was way impressive, if I wear a seatbelt all the time. And I'm like, wow, yes. Oh, and then that was my opening to say, what else do you guys talk to? Oh, nope, that's about it. That's about it. Don't talk about anything else. So, cognitively, just because somebody can actually, through rote behavior and muscle memory, drive from point A to point B to get their hair done or something, does not mean that they, if there was an emergency, should be out there driving. How might they handle it? And then that makes everybody else on the road vulnerable. So that's why Drive Smart is involved, because we want all people on the road to be as safe as possible.
Thank you.
Oh, sure.
I do think a big part of what we do, even when people do well throughout our process, is really start those discussions about the eventual need for driving retirement. And I think that's where we all can learn more and just have those discussions on a regular basis of, we're all going to outlive our ability to drive. Research is showing that. Women by 10 years, men by 7 years. So to me, it's a bigger issue than just this one-on-one discussion, but really as a culture, as a society, how are we meeting the needs of people in our communities, and how are we making it less stigmatizing to not drive your personal vehicle?
And by knowing all of you is very helpful to us, very helpful, because we can all support each other and refer each other to the proper place, so that it's not as scary. So anyway, thank you. Do you have any more questions? Any other questions? So I really appreciate you allowing us to come and me dragging Terry up here, although now she's getting to be quite a star herself, up here to share what she does, because I think that it's extremely valuable. And we all just need to know that in our own minds, I would almost guarantee that none of us in here in this room are even thinking about that time. And we will all be at that point someday. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, training, information sharing, coordination opportunities. Anybody have anything to share here? Maybe we all just sort of talked about it a little bit. No? Okay, moving on. Okay.
I think it's worth pointing out or reminding everyone that CDOT's consolidated call for capital projects is currently out. That's how we can apply for grants for new vehicles. Those are due November 18th. And also, I've been talking to Nate Vanderbrook, who's part of Division of Transit and Rail's Planning Division. He's conducting a survey of elderly and disabled transit riders, which is part of the statewide transportation plan for 2045. I'd encourage any of you to reach out to him if you'd like to get your riders involved with that. He can send you physical copies of the survey to distribute, and he also has an online link that they can take as well.
Thank you very much. Items for, before I forget, let's go back up to this guide. I'd like to give everybody, 2 weeks max to review this and get information back to me or through Jessica, if that's easier. And then she can get it to me or whatever, we'll communicate. But it's really important for, let's just not let this languish. And please look for typos. We can read our own writing a million times and not find our own mistakes. So please take a moment to review that and get information if there's any changes to us as soon as possible. Thank you, and then I'll get them to Victoria. Items for future MCC meetings. I know that our year is kind of winding down here, and we have the November meeting coming up, and then I believe in December, it's usually a little bit more cash, but no. Jessica, yes, Jessica?
MCC does not have a December meeting. They have a potluck and driver recognition meeting in November. Okay. So that's what's coming.
Well, that's perfect then, because we also at DriveSmart cancel our December. December is, between Thanksgiving and New Year's, it's a very difficult time to get much done. So that sounds awesome. So be planning that, but we will still save some time for your presentation. Okay? So be planning that, and more information will be coming forth on the last meeting of the year in November.
So what date is that?
Well, it would be the fourth Tuesday, which is November 26th.
When is Thanksgiving?
November 28th. So it's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Is that bad?
26th.
Yeah.
It's
Are you all taking off the week? Is that okay? No. Okay, so it will stand.
Whoa.
The 26th it is. And we hope as many of you as possible can attend, knowing that some of you might not be able to attend. So be thinking of your driver recognition. Be thinking of all of these things. Anything else, because I'm not really familiar with that meeting. Anything else that we should keep in mind?
Nope, I'll send out an email just asking for who your driver would be inviting to the meeting to recognize, and we create certificates for the meeting that present, and that goes as an agenda item. So we'll have the presentation first, and the driver recognition and potluck.
Great. Great.
Don't we have elections coming up next year, too, in January?
I believe, I have no idea. I started my turn sometime in January.
That's what I said. When do we have elections?
Are you all trying to get rid of me already?
I think it would come up for November.
Oh, nominations would be in November.
Nominations.
Nominations, too. So we need nominations for elections.
Probably so. Unless you want to pick those for November and vote in January.
Nominations November, vote.
Yeah. Do nominations November, vote in January, because November's already filled, and we want to recognize the drivers. We want to eat. We want to hear the presentation. So let's just, is that okay with, whoa, sorry. Is that okay with everybody?
I just know it's coming up, that's all.
Way to mention it.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll make sure that we follow up on it.
Jody, you're in charge. Okay. Well, without any.
So I would like
sorry, go ahead.
to just remind about the 2045 plan, if we could, I'm not sure if we'll have a draft of the physical, writing of the report, but if we could review that at that November meeting, because I believe the boards have to vote on it at some point.
That's a good point, Gail. I was thinking about that as well. It's going to go to the PPACG board for adoption, working backwards, in January. I think it's going to go through the the Technical Advisory Committee, November and December for review, final recommendation probably in December. So, yeah, since your meeting is November 26th, hopefully it's come together far enough along with recommendations and other observations and the specialized transportation portion and the transit plan portion of the long-range plan. I think it would be good to have that on your November agenda. So, yeah, I'll work with John Leosados, and we'll get that scheduled.
Thank you.
Good.
Another thing I'd like to bring up, maybe for the MCC to look at, is some of the road safety and the running of the red lights. And I don't know if we could have some stats presented about the accident rates and percent of construction zones. I really find it difficult to stay on time here in the community and to make sure that not only our riders are safe, but our drivers are safe. I mean, people are running into us at stoplights, and I would just hope that whether it's this committee or the whole PPACG could help us understand what's going on in the community regarding accidents. I'm all for more red lights. The amount of people running red lights is phenomenal. So I'm not sure if we can bring that up at this meeting or not.
I appreciate you bringing up that topic, because you're stepping into my world right now. That's what I deal with a lot, is educating the general public on trying to educate the general public, if they're willing to listen. This is top of the list when it comes to the police chief of Colorado Springs, of the sheriff. This is top of the list, traffic situation that's happening. But what we really realize, and this is absolutely the truth, is what we're dealing with right now is a very serious culture problem. It's a very serious me problem. And it's almost impossible to enforce your way out of that situation. So where we have to start with education is really putting it back on the individual driver. I'm not saying that police are still, they want to add more red light cameras. They have increased their traffic enforcement. The sheriff's office has started a brand new traffic unit that is kicking rear end when it comes to DUI enforcement, traffic enforcement. They didn't have a traffic unit for years, and now they do, and they are kicking, you know what. I mean, they really are, and it's 3 guys, and they're killing it out there, no pun intended. They are doing amazing work, but you're absolutely right. It's out of control, and people culturally are being extremely selfish. One thing that we are looking at doing from DriveSmart is reminding people with the construction that you cannot get from Powers to here in 20 minutes. You know, people think it's the many years ago when you could get cross town. So they don't plan for that. And then all of a sudden they put it in Google and realize it's 48 minutes, and then they're speeding across town. These are reality. It's because of construction. It's because of more people living here. It's because our roads weren't built for that. It's because of potholes. It's because of everything. So this is something that really is near and dear to my heart and to all law enforcement. And if this group thinks that it would be beneficial at some point, perhaps January, I think November's maxed out, I would be more than happy to arrange a presentation to the greater PPACG, to this committee. They would come, they'll talk till they're blue in the face about what we can do about it. And I also know that I've been in some talks with Jason O'Brien, who's a transportation planner here, and I think the PPACG is highly acutely aware of this issue and wondering how they can maybe get involved to do more.
Well,
Am I right?
Yeah, I've asked Jason and our transportation folks to really make this a priority. We track this because we have to look at performance measures when we do our long-range plan and when we allocate money for new transportation projects, and we have a higher rate of serious and fatal crashes in our region than the rest of the state. It's really troubling. I mean, having moved here a year and a half ago from the D.C. area, I thought it'd be safer and easier to get around here, and it's easier, but it's not safer by any means. So I'm glad there's a lot of work that's gone on, and we've been starting to get engaged in that effort as well. It is a serious issue.
Just let me know if you want me to bring anybody and when you want me to bring them.
I think we should coordinate maybe and have if January does work, I think that might be a good time to schedule maybe a couple of presentations.
I'd like to say that because of the accident rate, and, we're just at stoplights and get hit, but, there's still a loss that is assigned to an agency, even though we're not at fault. And so it raises our insurance rates, and that's of concern not only to Envita, but for everyone around this table, and it's also concerning around the state. I'm working with the CASTA people, the Colorado Association of Transit Agencies. We've hired a consultant to look at insurance as well, and I have an 11 o'clock call regarding insurance for around the state, because our rates have gone up. I think we calculated over like 500% in 10 years. And it's really hard to deliver services on a cost reimbursement basis due to this insurance increase.
Good. I'm glad to hear the MCC willing to engage on it. That's super.
No, I'm really happy to hear you bring this up between pedestrians and this topic was brought up a little bit at the last specialized transit meeting, but the scope, people, you don't have a clue what's going on out there.
Can I share a story? I guess it was the week it snowed maybe it was 2 weeks ago, and we were at a stoplight, and someone ran into our bus because the roads got icy so quickly that Thursday. And I remember you said the policeman told the people that ran into our bus, "You're lucky no one was on the bus." It would have been a lawsuit. I mean, it's just phenomenal.
give me a little bit more information on what you'd like to do and when you'd like to do it. And I'm looking at Andy, I'm looking at Jody, I'm looking at us, and I will arrange it, at least through the powers that be that I know of. But I kind of know a lot of people in that realm. So, yeah, I'm happy. I'll talk about this till I'm blue in the face. I agree. Safety, or lack thereof, yes. And so that means I'm going to give you all a tip before I officially adjourn this meeting. As you leave today, you all put on your seatbelts, and you do not look at your cell phone. Adults in this room are as much a problem, if not more so, than, not in this room. Well, maybe in this room. I don't know. True confessions. I don't want to know. I'm just saying in general, think to yourself about the times that the cell phone has rung and you have picked it up or you have glanced at it to see who texted you. I want you all to go and put on one of those do not disturb things on your app, on your cell phone, so that people know you're driving. It's easy to do. A lot of iPhones just come with it. And then they will get a text that says, I'm driving. I'll get back to you in a minute. So please be the model. Be the you want to be, people. If that's I don't know, some famous person says something related to that. So please look at your own, be the change, something, yeah, you know. But right, exactly what he said. So please, I implore you, look at your own driving, because people are watching you. So that was an awesome note to end on. We're adjourned.